Ready?
Ready, ma'am.
Good morning, Sonoma State! Woohoo! Can you believe this day? Oh my goodness. It's glorious. Good morning. My name is Margie Purser, and I'm the chair of the faculty this year. And I am very, very happy to welcome each and every one of you to Sonoma State University on this beautiful May morning. Please be seated. And would the banner carriers please place the heraldic banners in their stands before you all take off? And now would everyone please be seated? It is my very great pleasure to introduce our student musician this morning, Talia Trozo. Will now perform America the Beautiful. Thank you, Talia. That was beautiful. Thank you for opening this morning's commencement ceremony. And it is now my very great pleasure to introduce the president of Sonoma State University, Dr. Ruben Armiñana.
Good morning. I am pleased to add my welcome to that given by Dr. Purser on behalf of the faculty and staff of Sonoma State University, many of whom are present today to share in this celebration. My most important job every year is to ensure that we have good weather. I have not always been successful, mostly have, but I have failed occasionally. I think I did pretty good today, even though it's a little windy, but I am doing humans' work instead of God's work, and he or she is very good at changing plans every so often. This year's graduates number approximately 2,200. About 1,000 of you are participating in this ceremony for the School of Science and Technology and the School of Social Sciences. A light number will participate in a ceremony later today for the School of Arts and Humanities, School of Business and Economics, and the School of Education. You will be joining the more than 58,000 students who have completed a master's or bachelor's degree at Sonoma State University since our first commencement in 1962. And no, I was not there. You come from many states and many countries, which are represented by the various flags you see behind me, although the majority of you are from California. Today you celebrate an achievement in common, the award of a master's or bachelor's degree. To all of you, the graduates of 2014, welcome to your commencement. We want to welcome the family and friends of our graduates. You can all share in the happiness and pride of our graduates on this great occasion because each one of you has played some part in their success. Thank you. Good for you. I would like to take a moment as we begin this commencement ceremony to invite the graduates to stand and acknowledge their parents and grandparents, children, spouses, significant others, brothers and sisters and friends for their help and support. They are very happy to see you graduate. We're pleased to have on our platform party today several distinguished guests. Please stand when I call you. Ms. Gail Brooks is the Vice Chancellor of Human Resources for the California State University. She is committed to education through her continued leadership and community service. Past honorary degree recipient, Robert Johnson. Dr. Johnson has a long legacy with sustainability in agriculture. He continues to support future generations in researching land management. The Alumni Association, which forms one of our graduates' most important links with their alma mater, is represented by the chair-elect, Mr. David Felty. David and the Alumni Association work tirelessly to bring value and provide programs and services to our more than 58,000 alumni, and I encourage all of you to join the association. I would like to acknowledge university officials and others in the platform party who are here today to honor our graduates. You will find their names and titles on page 13 of your commencement program. I would also like to acknowledge our distinguished faculty who are here today to participate in this very important ceremony. The names of our faculty can be found starting on page 48 of your program. There will be a test after all of this, your final test. Finally, please join me in recognizing the almost 200 members of Sonoma State University's staff whose dedication and hard work have made this ceremony possible. Thank you. I would now like to invite Gail Brooks, California State University Vice Chancellor of Human Resources, to greet our graduates.
All right. Thank you, President Armañana. It's a great honor to share this special day with the newest graduates of Sonoma State University. Families and friends of the graduates and the faculty and staff of this excellent university. I'm delighted to bring you greetings and congratulations on behalf of Chancellor White and the California State University. Graduates, you truly represent the best hopes of the state of California. This spring, more than 90,000 new CSU graduates will be moving on from their alma maters to enter into professional and graduate schools or directly into the workforce of this great state. Together, you are cause for great optimism for the future. The state of California is counting on your skills, your knowledge, your creativity, and the dedication that you have shown in working successfully toward the degrees that you will receive today. We know that you will not disappoint. As a citizen and a member of your community, continue to support the CSU by showing others how earning a college degree can be the most important step towards a brighter future. As a graduate of CSU, be an ambassador for our system. Let your friends, colleagues, legislators, and community know how important the CSU has been to you and how they can join you in keeping the doors of opportunity open for others by supporting the California State University. As graduates of Sonoma State University, you've received not only a deep and strong education in your major fields, but an appreciation and understanding of the value of the liberal arts and sciences that are the basis for a rewarding personal life and a career. You're very fortunate to have attended such a fine institution. You've worked hard, and you deserve the degrees that are being conferred upon you today. Again, on behalf of the California State University, the Chancellor, and the Board of Trustees, I congratulate you on your achievement and wish you every success as you leave this great university for your tomorrows. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Vice Chancellor Brooks. It's now my very, very great pleasure to introduce the Associate Student President, Mac Hart. Mac has been working tirelessly all year long as your president, and he has done a fantastic job, and faculty governance in particular would like to thank him for his gracious, collaborative, and warm work that he's done for all of you.
Thank you. Woo. Graduates, students, family, friends, welcome to the 2014 Sonoma State University graduation. Soon-to-be graduates, congratulations. You all have earned it. Hard work has paid off. As your Associated Students President, it has been an honor and a privilege being able to represent and serve you this past year. Your passion, engagement, and hard work has certainly paid off. This campus has changed so much since we first got here. New people, new faces, new programs. You know, but nothing will compare to the changes we're all set to face as we graduate. Regardless of if you earned a Bachelor's of Arts or a Bachelor's of Science, majored in geology, geography, or gerontology, whether you got a minor, a major, or a master's, we're all similar in that we pursued our interests through higher education. We're on the hunt to figure out how to do the things we want to do in life. And it is this pursuit that we're here to celebrate today. So here's to doing what you want to do, to finding your passion, to living a meaningful life, to the family, the friends that made today possible, and to the good times and to the bad times, the smiles and the tears. Here's to the journey that is a Sonoma State University education, the journey we've all taken to get to this moment. So on behalf of all of the SSU students that could not be here this morning, congratulations, class of 2014.
Thank you, Mac. It has been a great pleasure for me to work closely with you during this past year. You are truly one of our best, our brightest. At this time, I would like to congratulate our recipients of the 2014 Excellence in Teaching Award. This award honors members of the Sonoma State University faculty who have made an outstanding contribution to the education of Sonoma State University through classroom instruction and other activities that promote student learning. Our recipients today are Dr. Jerry Morris and Dr. Eric Williams. You will learn from their biography on page 9 of your programs that Dr. Morris, who unfortunately cannot be here today, he's not feeling well, joined the mathematics faculty of Sonoma State University in 2002. In the classroom, his goal is to motivate students to learn and explore mathematics on their own and to get excited about learning. Dr. Williams, and he's here today, is committed to enhancing and expanding the educational experience of Sonoma State students. As chair of the Criminology and Criminal Justice Studies, he hopes to inspire passion for constitutional law and liberties. Please join me in expressing our appreciation to Dr. Morris and Dr. Williams for their dedication to excellence in teaching. You want another picture? I think they want another picture. They want a picture? They want another picture. I would now like to take a moment to recognize our recipient of the Staff Excellence Award. These awards are presented to select members of the Sonoma State University staff in recognition of their outstanding service to the university and its students and faculty. Today's recipients are Mr. Steve Anderson from the Physics and Astronomy Department and Mr. John Mueller from the University Library. Their biographies are on page 10 of your program. Mr. Anderson is with us in the platform this morning. Here, there's a picture time. Thank you, Steve, for your excellent service to Sonoma State University. I would now like to introduce our student speaker, Kathleen Burns. Kathleen grew up in Salida, a small town near Modesto in the Central Valley of California. Kathleen was involved with various leadership positions in Sonoma State University. She was a peer mentor and community service advisor in the residence halls, as well as a summer orientation leader. Kathleen plans to pursue her master's in college student affairs at Rutgers University in New Jersey. Please join me in welcoming Kathleen Burns.
I love you too. Hey, Seawolves. What's up? This is it. We did it. Come on. How does it feel? Much better, much better. So I first want to acknowledge all of the behind-the-scenes heroes that made today possible for each of us. Each one of us sitting here today in these ridiculous hats have had people in our lives that have helped make our graduation a possibility. Whether it be family, friends, professors, or mentors. So I want to take the moment to show our gratitude by applauding for whoever those individuals were for you. All right. Now, I want you to think back to your first day at Sonoma. Think about the kind of person you were. Think about what your priorities were then, how you responded to situations. What did you feel when you stepped on campus for the first day of courses? Maybe you felt like I did. Frankly, I was terrified. I had no idea what to expect of a college course. I didn't know anyone. And I didn't have the slightest idea what in the world a sea wolf was. Now, think about all the ways you've changed over the past 4, 5, maybe even 6 or more years. And if you don't think you have changed, I challenge you to think a little harder. Nothing can stay the same for that long. Just look at the school. We've got new buildings, new majors, even a new GE pattern. We, after all, are some of the last students to know the struggles of finding an A1 category class. So, who are you in comparison to the person who first stepped foot on this campus? Think about the ways you've grown in the past few years. How do you define yourself now? For me, Sonoma State gave me an opportunity to explore my passions, to challenge my beliefs, and ultimately, to become comfortable being exactly who I am. Think about the things you've learned both in and outside of the classroom. and how you're going to use that information after you leave here today. Don't let this be just a means to an end. Don't let this several $1,000 piece of paper be just a piece of paper. Your education cannot end here. Take what you learned and apply it to your life. 4 years ago, I didn't care much about school. College was a necessary evil. My line of thinking was basic and naive. I wanted a good job, so I needed a college degree. Simple as that. When I got here and started taking courses, that idea was turned on its head. I wanted the benefits of having a college degree, but I didn't realize just how much work would actually go into getting it. I was reminded of a lesson I had first learned while applying for my first leadership positions. Just wanting something, no matter how much you want it, will never be enough to actually get it. That desire must be supported with hard work. Each one of you sitting here today has made the conscious decision every day for the past however many years to support your desires with hard work. You've sat through dozens of GE lectures and Ives 101 and Stevenson 1002. You've survived numerous all-nighters. You have somehow managed to get work done in the wee hours of the morning during 24-hour library hours, despite the distractions of people line dancing or making forts. By the way, I'd like to take this time to formally apologize to all of you for doing those things every finals week. You even made the effort to drag yourself to those 8 a.m. classes after a night of a bit too much crawling in Katati. And some of you did that this morning. And today, that work has finally paid off, and we should be proud. We should all be so incredibly proud. Many criticize our generation for being the selfie generation, but I think it's something that we should embrace. We are a generation that is proud of its accomplishments, of who we are, and that is an amazing thing. You should be proud of what you did here. So I want you, right now, to proclaim your pride to the world via a picture of your face. Hashtag Sonoma State, hashtag class of 2014. Yeah, do it, good. Yes, thank you. Be proud, because you all know, as much as I do, that it wasn't always easy. In fact, it rarely ever was. If it was easy, more than only 30% of American adults would have earned that piece of paper that you are about to receive. There were many challenges in getting here today. The Stevenson elevator is proof alone of that. We were here before the 16-unit cap was put in place, but many of our years were spent with it. We adapted. We worked out solutions to get where we needed to go. That adaptability and ability to achieve in whatever situation comes along will help all of us in whatever future endeavors we find ourselves in. When I think about my time here at Sonoma, the best memories are of the people I met. Sure, I'll miss the beautiful scenery. I'll miss the late night emails from Mo Phillips. You know, the woman who sends you a list of things to do every week instead of binge watching Netflix. Yeah. I'll miss the intellectual environment. I'll even occasionally miss the Sonoma aroma. Okay, all right, maybe not the Sonoma aroma itself, but the connection it gave us to each other and to this area. I will think of these things fondly from time to time. But what I will really miss, what I will miss every day hereafter, are the people. The students, the faculty, and the staff that I've met along my journey that made Sonoma State by far the best place to receive an education. Stephen Fry once said, "Education is the sum of what students teach each other in between lectures and seminars." In between those lectures and seminars, you have all taught me the question I have been asking for 4 years. What in the world is a sea wolf? Right? You have all taught me that a sea wolf is a person who is destined to do amazing things and that can handle anything that gets in its way. So, sea wolves, what's next? Some of you have jobs lined up, some of you have travel plans, some of us are off to grad school, and some of you have no idea what you're going to be eating for breakfast tomorrow, let alone what you want to do for the rest of your life. And that's okay. You don't have to know, but you do have to put in the effort. So take risks, test the waters, get out there, find your passions, and then devote your entire self to it. In the words of Howard Thurman, don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive and go do it, because the world needs people who have come alive. Once you find your passions, challenge them. Challenge yourself. Knowing what path you want to be on for the rest of your life doesn't mean you're going to stay on it, nor should it. Life is both too short and too long to feel stuck in decisions you've made in your 20s. Figuring out your life isn't going to just happen overnight. Give yourself some grace, allow for change, make mistakes. That's the only way you're going to learn, but be sure you do learn from those mistakes. You will hear that today is the first day of the rest of your life more times than you can count, even the math majors. Whoa, there are a lot more of you than I thought. However cliche that may sound, it does carry some truth. Truth in the sense that it is true for every single day of our lives. You made the most out of college, so now you get to make the most out of life. So do what you love. Be kind. Be unapologetically authentic. Stay true to the values you hold. Never, never, never give up. If binge watching Star Trek while I totally should have been studying taught me one thing, it was that it is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not weakness. That is life. So run with what life throws your way. Trust that you can make the best life for yourself. And Seawolves, if you forget everything that was said today, be sure that you don't forget to be awesome. Congrats!
Thank you, Kat, for that inspiring message. We're honored to have our speaker today, a New York Times best-selling author and the founder of Pencils of Promise. Mr. Adam Braun. Pencils of Promise is a for-purpose organization that builds schools, trains teachers, and funds scholarships. Mr. Braun has been named to the Forbes 30 Under 30 list, Wire Magazine, and also Wire Magazine's 50 people who are changing the world, and was selected one of the world's economic forum's first 10 global shapers. He also has been a featured speaker at the White House, United Nations, and the Clinton Global Initiative. We're honored to have Mr. Braun with us and thank the associated students for their efforts in bringing him here today. Mr. Adam Braun.
Good morning. Now, hopefully most of you are aware that tomorrow is a special day as well. Tomorrow is Mother's Day. And so I decided to speak to my mother and inform her that I was giving a really big speech today. And I said, Mom, I have this big speech to give at Sonoma State. Usually jokes help to open up a speech. Are there any jokes that you know that you could share with me? And she said, well, sweetie, I think that's a really good idea, but you're not very funny. And so you should do what you do best, which is to speak from the heart. And that's what I built a career on. That's truly who I am through and through, and that's what I hope to do in front of each of you today. But I find that a lot of times speakers get up in front of crowds, and they really speak just in service of their own personal mission. And the true great speeches are actually in service of an audience. And so just so that I can get a little bit of a sense of who is here today, just by a show of hands, how many people here are students? All right, you guys are easy to identify. How many people here are parents? How many people here are grandparents? All right, how many people here are the grandchild of someone? If anyone did not raise their hand, there's something wrong. Just want to make sure you guys are with me. So, you know, my story really starts with one thing, and it's my family. And that's why I asked each of you to raise your hands. I think it's really tough to tell where you're going unless you know where you come from. And I grew up in a really closely knit family, but I had an older brother. And as a child, having a brother who's 2 years older than me, I spent most of my time not actually competing against my friends, but competing against his friends. I played almost every sport possible, but basketball was really my thing. And I found that I wasn't as interested in competing against the kids my age. I was always competing against the older, the bigger kids. And that's been one of the consistent themes that I realized I've experienced. I've constantly wanted to play against the bigger kids. And that's one thing that for each of you graduates, you are now going to be thrust into. You're no longer going to be competing against your peer set. You will become a part of, quote, real life. But what I want to share with you guys today are 5 lessons that I've learned, because it wasn't that long ago that I was in each of your positions. I'm guessing you can tell I'm not that old. And so hopefully these 5 things that I'll share with you guys are pieces of wisdom that come from a place of authenticity, and more than anything, they come from a place of personal experience. And so the first one is this idea that true self-discovery begins where your comfort zone ends. In my case, I was playing basketball in college. I was a 20-year-old sophomore at Brown University, and I had what I thought was the dream life. You know, when I was growing up as a kid, I used to watch March Madness, and I used to see the guys at the end of the bench with their arms interlocked during the NCAA tournament cheering on the stars. And I desperately wanted to be one of those guys, just a bench warmer on a Division I team. And somehow, I climbed my way there. And I found myself playing sports. You know, I had a girlfriend that I was into and good friends, but I looked at the path ahead of me, and at the time I wanted to work on Wall Street and develop a career in finance more than anything else. But I looked at that path and I thought, you know something, I know what this is going to be. And I saw a film called Baraka that was shot in 24 different countries. And I remember distinctly as a sophomore feeling like somebody had kicked me in my gut, because I saw the way that the rest of the world lived. I had never known that these parts of the developing world had such experiences that I was seeing on this screen. And so I thought, you know something, as much as I'm comfortable, I'm content, I have to get out of my comfort zone. And when you study the great artists, when you look at the great musicians, their greatest works, the ones that have truly influenced culture, did not come out of a period of peaceful happiness in their life. It's often during periods of immense struggle. It's when someone broke their heart. It's when their culture was rife with conflict that these incredible pieces of art explosively emerged. And so I thought, I have to get out of my comfort zone. And I went on a program called Semester at Sea. And while I was on Semester at Sea, I had a habit of asking one child in each country that we went to, what do you want most in the world? And I would have them write it down on a piece of paper. And when I got to India, where the poverty was the most devastating that I had ever seen in my life, I found this young boy who was begging on the streets. And I'd never met a child like that begging on the streets. And I felt so helpless. And I said, if you could have anything in the world, what would you want? He was my one child in that country. And he looked at me, and his answer was not what I thought he would say. It wasn't a house. It wasn't, you know, some nice car or a boat or anything that one of us would probably guess. He looked at me, and he said if he could have anything in the world, this boy, who was a true street beggar, said a pencil. And that was it. If he could have anything in the world, it would be a pencil. And what I realized was that he had never been to school before. And that was the reality for millions of children around the world, that they've never had any access to any form of quality education. And if I thought back in my own family history, it was only 2 generations ago that my grandparents were living in a rural countryside in what we would deem to be the developing world. And I guarantee that if any of you here actually trace back your own lineage, within at least 2, 3 generations, but not much more, you would find that there was somebody who allowed you to get to your position today because of the sacrifices that they made, but most importantly, because they invested in their own education and ultimately the educational well-being of your family. And so first and foremost, I want to commend each of you, but more than anything, I want to commend the lineage that you are derived from, who invested in your well-being by making a commitment to education, which you all are honoring by graduating here today. And so after this boy asked me for this pencil, I became obsessed with backpacking and traveling. And I told my parents, I want to travel as much as I can. And they looked at me and they said, Adam, we will support you, just not financially. And so they put a mandate in front of me. They said, if you go out and find a way to make some money, you can do what you want with it. And that sparked this entrepreneurial commitment within me, that I had to find ways to start small businesses, work different jobs, and whatever money I would make, I would take and pretty much buy a one-way ticket to either Guatemala or Thailand or somewhere else and travel for as long as I could. And what I found was that time and time again, there were two types of people that were working on massive, massive forms of impact in the world, that were committed to true social good and positivity. And a lot of them either had pure passion, they were incredibly committed, they lived in these communities, and they were driven by passion, but those people often lacked for-profit business acumen. And then you had on the other side the business community that was so dedicated to the well-being of others, but oftentimes they lacked the knowledge on the ground in these communities. And what I realized is that the generations are obviously shifting in pretty immense ways. But one of the things that I've seen is, when you look back to kind of the greatest generation and even before then, people sought to make a lot of money, to hopefully support their own families, and then with that capital, they ended up waiting to give it on to impact the world after they passed. And what we've seen with the greatest generation and the baby boomers, essentially the graduates' parents, is this commitment to say, in my lifetime, I want to see social good created. And what I think is coming out of millennials and this generation, your generation, is the idea that it's actually through the work that you undertake that you will create positive good in the world. But one of the things that I've experienced is that only happens when you combine for-profit business acumen with true humanitarian, almost nonprofit idealism. And as you start to choose your next job and the job after that and the job after that, you guys are going to be faced with some very tough decisions. So the second thing that I wanted to share with you is that there are 3 forms of compensation. No matter what somebody tells you, there's actually 3 forms. The first one is money, right? How much money are you paid for your job, which is what most people have valued for generations. But what I've seen is that there is a second form, which is mastery. It's actually the learnings that job will afford you. And then there's a third one, which is meaning. It's purpose. It's how can you connect to a broader whole. And at different points in your life, you're going to be offered positions that provide different levels of compensation in those 3 categories. And what I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt is that at this stage in your life, as graduates, thinking about the first 5 or 10 years of your career, you should entirely focus on mastery. The learnings in the next 5 to 10 years will prepare you for a life ahead that will allow for not only money, not only meaning, but the type of life that you want to live on your own terms. So what I did is I ended up going to work at a company called Bain. It was a great consulting firm. And I had on paper this seemingly dream job. But I didn't have this sense of passion within my days. And I really believe this. Big dreams start with small, unreasonable acts. And so I had this idea. I wanted to try and find a way to build one school in the developing world and dedicate it to my 80-year-old grandmother. I just didn't think a set of golf clubs or an all-you-can-eat sushi buffet would be enough for her 80th. And so I went to the bank in my hometown in October of 2008, and I said, I have this idea. I want to start this organization called Pencils of Promise. What does it take? And the woman behind the desk said to me, well, in order to start a new bank account, you have to begin with at least $25. And I was turning 25 that month, and so I thought it was a good karmic sign. So I gave her $25 in hopes of trying to find a way to build one school. And for anybody that believes that in order to create something large in terms of scale or significance, there's this pervasive idea that you have to have money, you have to have wealth, you have to have power, you have to have influence. But I am here to prove to you that you don't. That you can start with as little as $25 and an enormous idea and create something that will truly transform the world and the lives around you. And so with Pencils of Promise, we hope to build just one school initially. And fortunately, my job had something called an externship where I could leave, and I asked friends to give donations instead of birthday presents, and in our first 2 years, entirely through small contributions, we were able to raise the money for our very first school. And so I took a break from my job and went out to Laos, where we built our first school. And when I came back, I found that I was actually a terrible employee at my company. I called in sick for 2 straight weeks. I wasn't particularly committed to these clients anymore. But I ultimately became faced with this question. Was I going to stay at my job, or was I going to leave to work on this organization that I was so passionate about and do so out of my apartment, my tiny apartment in the East Village in New York? And this is where the third piece of advice comes in, which is to make the little decisions with your head and the big ones with your heart. Because at that point in my life, I had to make a big decision. And as much as my head told me, stick with the safe job, keep making the good money, my heart told me that if I didn't pursue this full time, that I wouldn't fulfill a sense of purpose. And when you find your sense of purpose, it's so much more than a sense of passion, because you become truly unstoppable. And so I left my job. I started working on this organization, and at the time we had, I think, 2 schools in March of 2010. And this is where the fourth piece of advice comes in, which is to speak the language of the person you seek to become, not who you are right now. What I found is that in default conversations in New York, people that you meet at a bar, they say, so what do you do? And the conversation, oh, I'm 24, 25, I work at this company, Bain, was a boring one. It wasn't one that I was excited about. And for each of you, people are about to ask you those questions. They're going to say, where'd you go to school? They're going to say, what was your major? What are you doing next? And I'd highly encourage you to not speak in the present tense and to not speak about the future tense, but to speak as if you are the person that you hope to become. Speak with an aspirational tone of the future self. So in my case, I stopped saying, well, I'm a consultant at Bain. I started saying, well, I'm working at Bain right now, but one day I'm going to start an NGO that builds schools around the world and helps create a world in which we see education for all. And the more that I had those conversations, people started to say, oh, well, what are you going to do about the teachers? Which country are you going to build schools in? And they almost forced me to live my way into the answers. And not only that, but the opportunities that were unearthed because of those conversations were ones in which people would say, well, actually, if you're trying to build a school here, then I know this guy who's building a school himself in Tanzania. Or I know this woman who's doing teacher training in Nepal. And so the opportunities, the introductions that were afforded my way were as a result, not of my present self, but the future self that I aspirationally hope to become. And so, you know, what I also realized in kind of relentlessly pursuing this vision was that I don't think that I'm special. As much as I'm able to stand in front of each of you guys here today, I hope what you're realizing is that within a matter of years, each of you could be standing up here as well. You don't have to be special, because I don't think I am. You just have to be unreasonable. And there's a big difference there. And what I came to understand was that because I consistently was the youngest person in each of the rooms that I was meeting with other individuals within and speaking about this organization, was that there is so much power in youth. And time again, people will tell young people, you have to wait, right? It's not your time yet. Well, I'm here to tell you that is bullshit. The single most powerful element of youth is that you don't know yet what is impossible. Right? You don't have that wisdom to know that something can or cannot be done. And within that lack of knowledge becomes this incredible ability for each of you to prove what can be made possible, because you are willing to try. You know, I learned recently that Martin Luther King, as much as we think of him as this kind of incredible man of stature and significance, he was only 26 when he led the Montgomery bus boycotts. 26. Right? The most powerful voice in global education today is Malala Yousafzai, who is 16 years old. You are never too young to get started. And so the final piece of advice is around this question of what do I want my life to stand for? Because when I was on semester at sea, a couple things happened, and I've had a couple different experiences in the developing world while traveling where I was sure that I was going to perish that day. I thought my life was coming to an end. And what you realize when you think your life is about to end is that when it disappears, you will not take anything with you. You won't have physical possessions. But the only thing that will remain is the footprints that you've left behind and the legacy of the life that you've lived. And each of us has this distinct opportunity to create a life that not only we are excited to share with others, but that our future generations will share about us. And so this fifth idea is to make your life a story worth telling. And the period in which that becomes defined is in your 20s. It's in this decade that you all are part of right now. You know, I've recently discovered, as I just turned 30, that your 20s are about both fighting and accepting your way into the person you are destined to become. And so I wrote something recently, right as I turned 30, about the most important lesson that I learned in my 20s. And I realized that I'd written a journal entry about a year into Pencils of Promise. And I remember thinking, I think I was about 27 at the time, that, you know, I remember writing, if we build 30 schools by the time I turned 30, I could die a happy man. That's what I had written. I just felt like I would feel so good about that. And as I turned 30, I actually looked around me and I looked at this organization that we had built. And now Pencils of Promise, as I turned 30, has built more than 200 schools around the world. Thank you. But here's where I was wrong, which is that I cannot die a happy man right now. I can't. Because I still want to do so much more. And as soon as something becomes possible, you start thinking about what you can do next. Each room in which I gave a talk gave me the confidence to go bigger. Each country that I traveled to made me hungry to experience the next. And no matter how late I stayed up, I always had an urge to watch the sun rise. So as I stand before you here today, I now realize what my 20s taught me. There's no such thing as best. The finish line to living the perfect life doesn't exist. It's in constant motion, just ahead of our grasp, moving forward at the same rate of acceleration as the expectations that will inevitably trail our accomplishments. You will screw up, you will be celebrated, and you will feel like a winner and a loser in the same day. And that will happen over and over. But the people who succeed are those who dust themselves off and keep going because they're not motivated by hitting their goals. They're motivated by getting to a place where they can set new goals that seem just as unreasonable as the ones before them once did. Now take a moment to just grasp that idea. The most successful people that I've met in my life are not motivated by hitting their goals. They're motivated by getting to a place where they can confidently and audaciously move the finish line once again off into the future where it seems just as uncertain as it once did before. So set incredibly ambitious goals, chase them with fervor, move the finish line consistently off into the distance, and in doing so, you will consistently retain a little bit of a sense of fear, which is what I'm sure each of you feel today, both excitement and fear. But there's one mantra that's guided me throughout the last decade of my life, and I hope that it guides each of you going forward. It's a statement by Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who said, "If your dreams do not scare you, then they are not big enough." Thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thank you, Adam, for those very inspirational words and thoughtful words. Plus, you made sense, and that's really important. I think people would remember what you said. Academic life has offered you the opportunity to study and to learn, to reflect, analyze, and synthesize, to formulate and test hypotheses. As you leave the world of the university and enter upon the course of your careers, you surely will put your theories to the test. Your new world likely will be more demanding and less forgiving. You will be faced with greater challenges and with more questions than solutions. In the real world, we all learn that our decisions and actions have very real consequences, both practical and moral, for ourselves and others. What is certain in this very dynamic world is that there is no shortage of important work for the graduates of 2014. What advice can I offer to guide you on your way? I charge you to live a life of learning. Knowledge is a tool for bettering this world. You have developed skills of acquiring knowledge and critical thinking. Continue to hone your skills, to ask questions and pursue sound answers, and to exercise discipline in your work. I charge you to cultivate compassion for others. From compassion comes understanding of our differences and appreciation of our commonalities. Compassion engenders kindness and caring and generosity, the virtues that are the essence of our humanity and the ingredients we need to achieve truly peaceful, collaborative coexistence. I charge you to become involved in community life. To paraphrase Pericles' statement in the Golden Age of Athens, we do not say of people who do not participate in public affairs that they mind their business. We say they have no business here at all. We do not achieve alone. We always achieve with others. As citizens, we're obliged to understand the assumptions, ideals, and aspirations of our communities, and to develop the desire and the will to participate in their institutions for the common good. I charge you to actively seek and create and teach a life of hope. We must believe that what we think and say and do can make a difference. We're living in a period of turbulence in our economic systems, our political institutions, our social values, and throughout the world. In such times, we can easily become dispirited and discouraged. Our greatest challenge is to keep alive the belief that a better, more enlightened, more humane world is truly possible. And I charge you to do all of these with a sense of adventure and fun. The faculty of this university has determined that you, the graduates of 2014, are ready to meet your responsibilities. I join them, along with the university administration and staff, your family and friends, and your distinguished guests here today in wishing you a very rewarding future. The graduates will now be presented and the degrees conferred. I recognize Dr. Margaret Purser, Chair of the Faculty.
Are you ready? Here we go. President Armaniana, it is my privilege to recommend these students who are assembled before you as candidates for degrees under requirements prescribed by the trustees of the California State University and by the faculty of Sonoma State University. Yeah. Many of the candidates participating in today's ceremony are preparing for their lifelong careers. There are many lifelong careers. And are receiving a master's degree or a bachelor's degree for their major fields. And some are completing or will soon begin coursework leading to a California teaching or service credential. And they're glad to be doing it. We are very proud of the contribution you will all make to your respected fields of study and to the society in which you live. Please join me in wishing all graduates every success in their calling. Now, the candidates for the master's degrees and bachelor's degrees will be presented to you by the Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dr. Andrew Rogerson.
President Armaniana, I am pleased to certify that the master's degree candidates here today have completed all the requirements established by the trustees of the California State University and the faculty of Sonoma State University for the degree of Master of Science of Biology, Master of Science in Computer and Engineering Science, Master of Arts in Counseling, Master of Arts in Cultural Resources Management, Master of Arts in History, Master of Arts in Interdisciplinary Studies, Master of Science in Interdisciplinary Studies, Master of Arts in Kinesiology, Master of Science in Nursing, Master of Arts in Psychology, Master of Public Administration. Will all the master's degree candidates please rise and remain standing?
Candidates for the master's degree, you have heard the recommendation of the faculty of Sonoma State University. By the virtue of the authority vested in me, by the Board of Trustees of the California State University, I do hereby confer upon each of you who has satisfied the requirements for the appropriate degree of Master of Arts, Masters of Public Administration, of Master of Science, with all the honors, privilege, and responsibilities thereupon pertaining. Congratulations. And please be seated.
President Armaniana, the deans of the schools will now present the candidates for the bachelor's degrees. I recognize Dr. Lynn Stauffer, Dean of the School of Science and Technology.
Will all candidates for bachelor's degrees in the School of Science and Technology please rise? President Armaniana, on behalf of the faculty of the School of Science and Technology, I have the honor to recommend the candidates for bachelor's degrees with majors in, and let's hear from you, applied statistics. Okay. Biochemistry, biology, chemistry, computer science, electrical engineering, earth science, yay, okay, geology, interdisciplinary studies, kinesiology, mathematics, nursing, physics, and statistics. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dean Stauffer. Candidates from the School of Science and Technology, you may now be seated. I recognize Dr. John Wingard, Dean of the School of Social Sciences.
Will all candidates for bachelor's degrees in the School of Social Sciences please rise? President Armaniana, on behalf of the school of the faculty of the School of Social Sciences, I have the honor to present the candidates for bachelor's degrees with majors in, now they put you in the back, so you got to yell a little louder, so let's go. Anthropology, criminology and criminal justice, environmental studies, geography, global studies, history, human development, liberal studies, Ukiah and Napa, political science, psychology, sociology, and finally, women and gender studies. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dean Wingard. Candidates from the School of Social Sciences, you may now be seated.
Will all of the candidates for the bachelor's degrees please rise? Candidates for the bachelor's degree, you have heard the recommendation of the faculty of Sonoma State University. By the virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of the California State University, I do here confer upon each of you who has satisfied the requirement the degree of Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science with all the honors, privileges, and responsibilities thereupon pertaining. Now, to signify that the bachelor's degree has been earned, you may move the tassel of your cap to the left side. Congratulations. Will all the graduates please join me in expressing our appreciation to the faculty and staff of Sonoma State University, whose hard work and dedication have helped you achieve this world. And now, please be seated.
Okay, here we go. Just a word for a minute before we get started with the procession. Our candidates here before us this morning have devoted great time and energy and sacrifice to get these degrees. And they have family and friends who really very, very much want to hear their name called. So if you can possibly make it possible for everybody to hear that name, we'd really appreciate it. Graduates, when you come up and get your diploma, please return to your seat and stick around with us for a while. There's more to the ceremony. Don't run. We would like to request that the audience also remain seated during this very, very special moment for everybody, and to hold your applause if you possibly can so everybody can hear those names. On behalf of the faculty and graduates, I would like to also thank Professors Mary Halavey of History and Professor Suzanne Rivoire of Computer Science for reading the names. We will now present the diplomas. I recognize Dr. Merlinda Barnard, Associate Vice President for Faculty Affairs, who will introduce the candidates.
Will those receiving the master's degree from the School of Science and Technology please rise? Master degree candidates, please come forward to receive your diplomas.
Carolina Dehisa Rosillo, a master's in nursing.
Rachel Spaeth, Master of Science Biology.
Wendy Cournot, master's in nursing.
Meredith Pearson, Master of Science in Biology.
Erica Scott, master's in nursing.
Natalie Graham, Master of Science in Biology.
Leah Salazar, master's in nursing.
Jane Hallahan, Master of Science in Biology.
Elia Bertolossi, master's in nursing.
David Ensminger, Master of Science in Biology.
Lachelle Num, master's in nursing, family nurse practitioner.
Jeffrey Sherrick, Master of Science in Biology.
Joshua Nitrato Dakuta, master's in nursing, family nurse practitioner.
Xenia Kessin, Postmasters of Science in Nursing.
Angeline Cardenas, Masters of Science in Nursing with a family nurse practitioner specialty.
Tatiana Furman, Master of Science in Nursing.
Louis Simpler, Master of Science in Nursing, family nurse practitioner.
Stella Yarve, Master of Science in Nursing.
Cynthia Sharp, Masters in Nursing, Family Nurse Practitioner.
Farhi Hosseina, Master of Science in Nursing.
Marco Oliver Dugan Lopez, Masters and Postmasters in Family Nurse Practitioner Certificate.
Melanie Valesi, Master of Science in Nursing, Family Nurse Practitioner.
Tracy Ann Takahashi, Master of Science in Nursing, Family Nurse Practitioner.
Barbara Miller Schreibman, Master of Science in Nursing, Family Nurse Practitioner.
Deborah Jean Rawson, Master in Nursing.
Anna Espitia, Master of Science in Nursing, Family Nurse Practitioner.
Liz Osborne, Master in Nursing, Family Nurse Practitioner.
Benjamin Woodard, Master of Science in Nursing, Family Nurse Practitioner. Allegra Stroop, Master of Science in Nursing, Family Nurse Practitioner. Tara Pfaff, Master of Science in Nursing, Family Nurse Practitioner. Cami Larson, Master of Science in Nursing, Family Nurse Practitioner. Laura McGuire, Master of Science in Nursing, Family Nurse Practitioner. Aurelia Lake, Master of Science in Nursing, Family Nurse Practitioner. Binara Yu, Master of Science in Nursing, Family Nurse Practitioner. Abigail De Jesus, Master of Science in Nursing, Family Nurse Practitioner. Levi Gore, Master of Science in Nursing, Family Nurse Practitioner. Christy Martinez, Master of Science in Nursing, Family Nurse Practitioner. Anna Coates, Master of Science in Nursing, Family Nurse Practitioner. Mavis Bekwi Sechi, Master of Science in Nursing, Family Nurse Practitioner. Nora von Sydow, Master of Science in Nursing, Family Nurse Practitioner. Julie Vialpando, Master of Science in Nursing, Family Nurse Practitioner. Sonia Stone, Master of Science in Nursing, Family Nurse Practitioner. Jeannie Chen, Master of Science in Nursing, Family Nurse Practitioner. Alina Cook, Master of Arts in Kinesiology.
Congratulations to the recipients of the master's degrees from the School of Science and Technology. All right, all you soon-to-be crazy scientists and researchers, will the bachelor degree recipients from the School of Science and Technology, you will now receive your diplomas. Will the school marshals please direct your graduates to come forward and receive their degrees?
Jennifer Marie Macy, BA in Math.
Laura Jasowski.
Joshua William Krug.
Cindy Dollar Cruz.
Brittany Haro.
Maya Jasmine Ayala.
Jackie O'Connor.
Galina Esterman.
Haley Kavanaugh.
Nico Nakai.
Joseph Mark Cisneros.
Colin Kokenauer.
Megan Ashley Hannon.
David Strasberg.
Esteban Perez.
Sean Ryan.
Miguel Cordozo.
Taylor Mackey Varnador.
Sean Smith.
Ashley Robinson.
Jacob Combs.
Haley Ross.
Caitlin Vigu.
Kelsey Hull.
K.O. Chambers.
Devin Shaver.
Morgan Fjord.
Lauren Mahoney.
Naomi Jimba.
Molly Jean Guest.
Elizabeth Sleth.
Emily Wong.
Sarah Whitaker.
Kimberly Elizabeth O'Neill.
Nicole Marie McCormick.
Marie O'Leary.
Gabrielle Marie Luna.
Justina Casas.
Martine Miller E.
Andre Matson.
Rachel Stopp.
Daniel Cunningham.
Daniel Simonson.
Declan Marr.
Rihanna Ellie Barton.
Gabriel Sahagan.
Hank Seeley.
John Richards.
Nick Posadas.
Jason Richards.
Jacob Barrett.
Stephen Filippi.
Agya Karki.
Vincent Karstens.
Andrea Martin. Malin. Andrea Malin. I'm sorry, Andrea.
Kate Alexandra McFarland.
Carmen Dollart.
Julianne Joy McFarland.
Alejandra Aguilar Maldonado.
Caitlin Brooke Whitwer.
Nikki Ho.
Lauren Fryer.
Troy Baker.
Paul Grijalva.
Stella Grace Catisi.
Nicole Autty Harrington.
Antoinette Louise Peterson.
Xiomara Robles.
Charles Kwok.
Margot Matthews.
Joshua Gutierrez.
Hillary Rush.
Sarah Ellen Mucha.
Cassidy Vogel.
Hannah Lee Freud.
Brooke Idell Zuliger.
Anne-Marie Chisholm.
Spencer Heller.
Karina Lukian.
Megan White.
Meredenta Jowl.
Haley Sutton.
Kelly Devine Jansen.
Lawrence Buat.
Robin Roxanne Decker.
Anna Gavin.
Brianna Daring.
Aaron Sandy.
Robert Toothman.
Shane Spalding.
Ben Diamond.
Dustin Holmes.
Paulette Lube.
Corey Devlin.
Adrian Ash.
Kirsty Strelo.
Christina Shriver.
Connor Biorgi.
Melissa Lapari.
Angelo David Petrillo.
Kimberly Descalzo.
Anthony Seychow.
Mallory Rice.
Michael Paradiso.
Iman Rashid.
Ernie Gorham.
Lauren Taverna.
Nima Rahimi.
Marcus de la Cruz.
Haley Toshjan.
Meredith Diddens.
Carrick Myers.
Andrew McCrory.
Taylor Biederman.
Stephen Dillon Hoba.
Zaina Malouf.
Jerry Richards.
Nicole Umamoto Snyder.
Sheena Delilah Johnson.
David Crawford.
Matthew Schwartz.
Timothy Matthew Bedorian.
Jensen Todd.
Peter Jeffrey Covert.
Ryan Hartnett.
Michael Bond.
David Wojcik.
Stephanie Lynn Scheiderer.
Camille Kraft.
Bibi Arosa Rahimzada.
Dayton Green.
Morganic Rux.
Jordan Sayer.
Eric Lindbergh Hernandez.
Christopher McDonough.
Megan Elizabeth Gilbert.
Anthony Telford.
Julia Olenichek.
Jason Gooding.
Jessica Saley.
Simran Sanad.
Savannah Appel.
Patrick Curley.
Catherine Atkinson.
Elisa Robbie.
Megan Brenner.
Jenny Mendez Butler. That's Jenny Mendez Butler.
Jacqueline Oldenburg.
Eva Nieto.
Rebecca Patterson.
Torhala Dabaros.
Rachel Gaynor.
Suzanne Hebel.
Fujin Burney.
Olivia Pulido.
Emily Bernard.
Tony Van Pierre.
Leslie Angelina Morales.
Mari da Costa.
Brianne Montgomery.
Yasmin Ortiz Luis Piga.
Damilola Otopola Bello.
Adriana Garcia.
Elizabeth Ergens Bernales.
Natalie Barry.
Kyle Corcoran.
Naomi Samari Campbell.
Christine Robbins.
Christopher Gonzalez.
Joy Wilson.
Alexander Scott Taylor.
Marina Wagner.
Yenny Chung.
Rachel DeLeon.
Amanda McAvoy.
Hannah Fields.
Ashley Tucker.
Robert Gadu.
Benita Presto.
Alex Leeson.
Robin Fari.
Morgan Emerson.
Tessa Burns.
Jillian Leach.
Erica McGathy.
Amy Kirstein.
Max Hayden.
Caitlin Shanahan.
Scott Parmley.
David May.
Eric Wah.
Nicole Wong.
Cheo Sefan.
Kevin Charles Bierlick.
Joshua Disbro.
Aaron Athey.
Taylor Sleba.
Matthew Lang.
Sebastian Carazosa.
Carissa Uppendahl.
Mary Michaela Francis Kennedy.
Andre Bruvry.
Sage Wickman.
Aaron Hill.
Andrea Ott.
Bianca Bagenstos.
Samantha Marie Smith.
Matthew Freeman.
Courtney Payne.
Micah Redding.
Nicola Sia.
Kyle John Cooker.
Jessica Solari.
Alexa K. Melcon.
Melanie Ronten.
Mila Abono.
Michaela Varilakis.
Andrew Canada.
Ila Estrada.
Sean Spragia.
Yasmin Fati.
Carly Dunleavy.
Samantha Bosage.
Devin Jorgensen.
Abril Giron.
Felix Desperier.
Janelle Vossler.
Nicholas Bell.
Mariah Abigail King.
Chase Glenister.
Talia Leanne Ianolo.
Teddy Reed.
Braxton Matthew Weems.
Ashley Forer.
Kelly Dyer.
Benjamin Cunningham.
Danielle Heschinger.
Kevin Zack.
Jamie Kelly.
Jacob Lewis.
Camille Clark.
Jessica Campion.
Jose Pagan. Kyle Vasconcelos.
Stefan Jakowski.
Nicholas Morel.
Daniel Ryan.
Stephen M. Clam.
Jordan Sperry.
Elias Carreno.
Phone Wong.
Ivan Rodriguez.
Colin Kreitz.
John Setting.
Natasha Podell.
David Donham.
Ebony Hilaire.
Kirsten Memmer.
Rochelle Keleana Kavahine Alkai Thisel.
Dugan Patience.
Madeline Height.
Jason Walter.
Jolie Nazer.
Matthew Johnson. Sorry.
I got this. Matthew Hardwick.
Tim Griffiths.
Sean Robbins.
David Chun.
Nathan McGaughy.
Sean Emmett Fraser.
Zachary Dahlgren.
David Cripps.
Corey Becker.
Timothy Doughty.
Lauren Loudermilk.
We'll see. Jared Wiltsey.
Tondra Kayleen Felly. David Christopher Wells.
Yes, I'm so sorry.
Ortal Yadav. Stephen Lee Kiles. Teresa Hurtado Diaz. Rachel Porter. Christy Yost. Adam Sony. And Marcus Nunez.
Congratulations to the recipients of the bachelor's degrees from the School of Science and Technology. Now, will those receiving master's degrees from the School of Social Science please rise? Master degree candidates, please come forward to receive your diplomas.
Jacoya Fox Jones, MA in History.
Marcia Bonomi, Master of Arts in Counseling.
Rachel Claire Higgins, Master of Arts in History.
Angela Sitka, Master of Arts in Counseling.
Maria Abina, Master of Arts in Counseling.
Madeline Prospero, Master of Arts in Counseling.
Sadie Thornhill, Master of Arts in Counseling.
Nicole Craig, Master of Arts in Counseling.
Megan Jean Casey, Master of Arts in Counseling.
Joanna Nicole Heron, Master of Arts in Counseling.
Nicole Emily Evans, Master of Arts in Counseling.
Catherine Vera Gordon, Master of Arts in Counseling.
Margaret Liberty Nicolette Gibson, Master of Arts in Counseling.
Alexandra Brooke Slocum Rogers, Master of Arts in Counseling.
Maricela Sedano, Master of Arts in Counseling.
Catherine Lynn Fader, Master of Arts in Counseling.
Jocelyn Swinger, Master of Arts in Psychology, Depth Psychology.
Rachel Lim Vu, Master of Arts in Counseling.
Susan Audrey, Master of Arts in Psychology, Depth Psychology.
Leah Eichenholtz, Master of Arts in Counseling.
Eileen Clegg, Master of Arts in Psychology, Depth Psychology.
Sean Nicole Orante, Master of Arts in Counseling.
Denise Dennington, Master of Arts in Psychology, Depth Psychology.
Mitchell Blomseth, Master of Arts in Counseling.
Tomoko Sekitani, Master of Arts in Psychology, Depth Psychology.
Shannon Kowalski, Master of Arts in Counseling.
Marie Judson Rossier, Master of Arts in Psychology, Depth Psychology.
Eric Ruby, Master of Arts in Counseling.
Julie Choden, Master of Arts in Psychology, Depth.
Dean Carvalho, Master of Arts in Counseling.
Sequoia Kristen Echeverry, Master of Arts in Psychology, Depth.
Brian Kreitz, Master of Arts in Counseling.
Lisa Woods, Master of Arts in Psychology, Depth Psychology.
Joanna Smiley, Master of Arts in Counseling.
Christopher Winner, Master of Arts in Psychology, Depth Psychology.
Jessica Zepeda, Master of Arts in Counseling.
Sally Evans, Master of Arts in Cultural Resource Management.
Nicole Cancilla Kopf, Master of Arts in Counseling.
Charles McCulloch, Master of Arts in Cultural Resource Management.
Kimberly Rohack, Master of Arts in Counseling.
Thomas Eddy, Master of Arts in Interdisciplinary Studies.
Lucy Elizabeth Kine, Master of Arts in Counseling.
Jamie Russell, Master of Public Administration.
Susan Winters, Master of Arts in Counseling.
Elizabeth O'Brien, Masters in Public Administration. Darby Jaragoski, Masters in Public Administration. Dominique Flores, Master in Public Administration. January Crane, Masters of Public Administration. Jordan Rose Hall, Master in Public Administration.
Congratulations to the recipients of the master's degrees from the School of Social Science. All right, all you future social scientists and social activists, it's your turn. Bachelor degree recipients from the School of Social Sciences will now receive their diplomas. Will the school marshals please direct your graduates to come forward and receive their diplomas?
Alicia Laranjo.
Miguel Diaz.
Ace Vindiola.
Claudia Barron.
Emma Irving.
Vanessa Angelina Pedro.
Martine Millery. Barbara Joan Froelich. Holly Phillips.
Sterling Arterberry.
Andre Ramon Garcia.
Stephen Lackey.
Chris Southard.
Patrick James Scott.
Daniel J. O'Connor, Jr.
Veronica Dunn.
Kara Jean McDonough.
Brandon Mills.
Jordan Gaines.
Brendan Sawyer.
Cecily de Guzman.
Eric Manuel Freitas Teixeira.
Shauna Malvino. Stephanie Toves.
Jesus Alberto Murguia Munoz.
Kevin Pruitt.
Jose Franco.
Aaron Gingold.
Carolyn Granger.
Danielle Louise Nouri.
Jack Benedict.
Julianne Mercer.
William Bailey Tucker.
Emily Norgard.
Joseph Owen Tucker.
Christopher Turnham.
Abigail Estupinian Gomez.
Nicholas Daniel Bublitz.
Ileana Valenzuela.
Christopher Dula.
Elisa Duncan.
John Metzger.
Michaela Boat Cabral.
Kathleen Ruth Whitman.
Carolyn Marie Young.
Kendra Marie Smith.
Genevieve Elaine Stiles.
Jacqueline George.
Jessica Lee Rudell.
Thomas Alexandra Traverso.
Stephanie Aga.
Leah Jennifer Madsen.
Tegan Kiefer.
Christy Weisbrod.
Diego Rocha.
Lisbeth Giros.
Jessica Yeli Para.
Ambra Lindblom.
Aria Cherie Sitola.
Colleen Bryson.
Maggie Elizabeth Brewer.
Christopher Gregus.
Anna McPack.
Congratulations. Will Martin Sasser.
Andrea Krauthoff.
Tori Hedegaard.
Jenna Benson.
Rachel Fielding.
Cortland Whitell.
Shelby Cornell.
Hannah Lair.
Tanya Castro.
Leah Leatherman.
Elsie August.
Stephanie Mancada.
Caroline Costarella.
John Benjamin Stark.
Ashley M. Wilson.
Jean Sloan.
Catherine Nicole Walkowick.
Philip Leone.
Andrea Washam.
Molly Alcorn.
I've seen you in a long time. Brett Morrison.
Baron Marsh.
Joseph Samuel Taylor.
Ashley Scott.
Jonathan Gantevort.
Mary Lou Selleck.
Kevin Asher.
Tian Lotspeech Free.
Eduardo Vasquez.
Monica Hunt.
Benny Merlin.
Alex Mary.
Paul Martinez.
Andrea Zepeda.
Carl Hardy.
Sharon Guzman.
Amanda Workman.
Olivia Claire Knight.
Jenna Pedrotti.
Cynthia Zarco.
Andrea Nicole England.
Stephanie Bajorquez.
Danielle Frazier.
Tanya Sanchez.
Arceli Ochoa.
Adriana Pacheco.
Yvonne Yola.
Julie Robinson.
Rachel Fulmer.
Melissa Flores.
Alyssa Lucille Long.
Caitlin Felicito.
Rachel Tubb.
Cody French.
Katie Harlan.
Brandon James Carone.
Quinn Marceau.
Evan Warner.
Monica Jacinto.
Kyle Honecker.
Ruth Feigl.
LeJohn Butcher.
Therese Navarra.
Devin Bowen.
Nelia Moore.
Greg Sewell.
Linda Daniels.
Anita Dunkel.
Jessica Fontaine.
Sarah Denari.
Michelle Arlene Nelson.
Jared Andrew Salinas Dick.
Cassandra Nixon.
Quinn Polkinghorn.
Lauren Hildreth.
Elisa Mello.
Robert Roth.
Megan Lindsay Butler.
Lauren Elizabeth Dillier.
Taylor Catherine Hill.
Elizabeth Pesserin.
Rachel Nicole Gaber.
Kalyan Sakbor.
Bianca Vasquez.
Alexa Flores.
Jordan Maggard.
Caitlin Harvey.
Yesenia Cabos Requenes.
Kristen Dean.
Brittany Marie Johnson.
Olivia Niemeyer.
Jeanette Marie Gagan.
May Nguyen.
Rebecca Rose Trevino.
Esteban Zacarias.
Samantha Cowley.
Anabel Rodriguez.
Alexis Sanchez.
Yadira Esparza.
Caitlin Amelia Ralphs.
Diana Loiza.
Zoe Zarina Febusevic.
Jessica Parry.
Kristen Papil.
Haley Saw.
Susie Rodriguez Sarmiento.
Michael Dowdell.
Adriana Chavez.
Arian Zanilian.
Eric Schotstedt.
James Coleman.
Alexandra Vassos Kennard.
Natalie Booker.
Patrice Helcrom.
Laura Noble.
Benjamin Walker.
Travis Burdett.
Gabriela Garcia.
Kyle Andrew Haggerty.
Nicole Keating.
Grant Matsumoto.
Mona Kleibe.
Christina Harrison. Chloe Lechuga.
Samantha Martinez.
Ann Scudero. Julie Sawyer.
Thomas Fallon.
Corin Bulger.
Michael Aldrich.
Bailey Murphy.
Jonas Brock.
Riley Lotta. Benjamin Gregory Schultz.
Eric Peabody.
Lisa Jean Dulberg.
Shelby Stefanak Gerstenberger.
Nicholas Cherney.
Kelsey Jewel Phillips.
Ashley Yohas.
Chloe Kuwabara.
Kelsey Nelson.
Lindsay Hausman.
Amy Burke.
Carly Panos.
Angelina Richter.
Simone Kelly.
Lindsay Christine Hancock.
Rachel Ann Borg.
Joseph Noonan.
Heather Renee Barkett.
Cristo Mendoza.
Rebecca Escobar.
Mitchell McSweeney.
Samantha Medeiros.
Courtney Risden.
Christina Fernandez.
Caitlin Risden.
Karen Buck.
Nicole Ahrens.
Anna Julia Sullivan.
Gabriela Gingska.
Marissa Morin.
Kuntia Singh.
Cooper Reynolds.
Judith Adriana Panuco.
Taylor Young.
Maria Leidsma.
Taylor Marie Steiner.
Antoinette Herrera.
Courtney Erin Beretta.
Rachel Cataneo.
Sarah Decker.
Haley Fennick.
Caitlin Elizabeth Nichols.
Kaya Adams.
Courtney Culhane.
Kayla Nunn. Amy Jacoy.
Kayla Weeder.
Kelly Brindleson.
Paige Annette Smith.
Janessa Hagan.
Amanda Ford.
Alyssa Lopez. Jeremy Holcomb.
Lindsay Rose McCory.
Amber Orozco.
Stevie Campagno Jr.
Emily Watkins.
Chessie Bird Henry.
Emily McAslin.
Stephanie Alicia Mayer.
Michael Cottle.
Catherine Pierce.
Edward Weimer.
Cody Hoffman Brown.
Justin Riley Smith.
Craig Hulsey.
Katarina Correa.
Vin Bowie.
Alina Piscor.
Alexandra Zabaleta.
Lynette Erickson.
Gloria Cisneros.
Emily Messinger.
Megan Marie Forrest.
Melanie Onan.
Lindsay Marie Tedrow.
Annie Levon. Derek Nelson.
Michael Batshon.
Nick Schaefer.
Ryan Lowe.
Brer Love. Cody Hole.
Kristen Garner.
Tan Kwa.
Molly Margaret Jean McCormick.
Nicholas Creparo.
Shannon Lee Fallis.
Cody Newell.
Vanessa Elizabeth Askeland.
Catherine Modell.
Veronica Galdamez.
Nicholas Thomas Ellis.
Catherine Gama.
Gregory Chin.
Jessica Taylor Clark.
Tantam Pan.
Katrina Brianne Waldschmidt.
Maya Macy Madigan.
Maiken Curley.
Dana Alganim.
Maxwell Grundmeyer.
Lauren Ashley Linney.
Sean Thornton.
Crystal Reese.
Nicole Marie Aravalo.
Maylee Shane.
Ashley Lynn Girdler.
Brandon Sanders.
Samaya Masjedi.
Roxanne Porter.
Renee Olson.
Justin Sullivan.
Rachel Chapman.
Travis Bradley.
Kevin Nielsen.
Amy Peterson.
Kristen Ebert.
Chris Jerem.
Daniel Enriquez.
Annalise Dorr.
Griselle Evelyn Santiago.
Dana Hachigian.
Nick KB.
Alan Montes.
Elizabeth Campos.
Sabrina Sahakum.
Stephanie Vanessa Flores.
Brian Cordoza.
Suzanne Michelle Bozarth.
Adelie Bernstein.
Aaron Paskin.
Nicole Lesher.
Bianca Ortega.
Kristen Torres.
Lindsay K. Buchanan.
Nadia Chavez.
Lauren M. Condi.
Brett Thatcher.
Justin Harold.
Monica Alvarez.
Haley Vargas Elcori.
Richard Ambrosi.
Alexandra Garby.
Sarah Rose Inda.
Scott Lesser.
Stephanie Patricia Sabins.
Daniel Arango Nunez.
Candice Pacheco.
Alex Leos.
Catherine June Miller.
Anthony Fumey.
Kelsey Bugstad.
Carrie McGrath.
Chris Miller.
Yvette Ramirez.
Maureen Brannon.
Kelsey Butler.
Cody Westfall.
Elizabeth Frances Dipple.
Nancy Ceja Rodriguez.
Mireya Parada Madrid.
Joel Dyer.
Maria de Los Angeles Fuentes.
Gabrielle Gilbert.
Danielle Marie Wong.
Kyle Allen Ebert.
Kevin Arnold.
Sarah Michelle Ray.
Rachel Joy Evans Feudum.
Kelsey Mundell.
Renee Wilson.
Alicia Martinez.
Stephanie Eleni Lantz.
Allison Willits.
Kara King.
Cynthia Villanueva.
Angie Uoa.
Allison Michelle Workala.
Evan Bird.
Jessica Jolene Johnson.
Jennifer Luann Lamperit.
Shauna Rawlings.
Raynon Young.
Daniel Johnson.
Samuel David Prohoroff.
Tyler Dolberg.
Brian Johnson.
Clinton Ferrix.
Crystal Rahim.
Yarden Schwartz.
Alexandria Sarissa Patch.
Mac Cooper.
Sarah Egan.
Tyler Wardley.
Marcy Wojcik.
Katie Blinkenstoff. Aaron Mayer.
Kendall Irie.
Hannah Zuckerman.
Tula Bennett.
Danielle Dasco.
Jamie Allen.
Diego Sanchez.
Olivia Brown.
Cindy Olvera.
Jordan Nagy.
Francis Clockerty.
Monica K. Morgan. Cassie Cart.
Tita Vatanawis.
Lindsay Voigt.
Laurel Weldman.
Brian Benetti.
Brenda Montañez Rodriguez.
Sarah Warner.
Rachel Christine Gropp.
Evan Jeffries.
Niall Jonathan Estep.
Camille Swain.
Megan Kenyon.
Michelle Johnson.
Emily Gonzalez.
Jacob Thornton.
Sammy Thompson.
Elisa Susan.
Nick Kettenstock.
Tiffany Garretts.
Nicholas Carmona.
Alyssa Lane.
Kenna Stukas.
Brittany Machado Nomson.
Sarah Hollinger.
Cassandra Bowen.
Rocky Valderrama.
Elizabeth Kathleen Paris.
Nicolette Yakul.
Rebecca Lowry.
Cassandra Lira.
Jess Draper.
Arden Lee Cahill.
Brady Osborne.
Marianne Joy Kenny.
Patricia Miraz.
J.P. Farrell.
Sing Yu Seo.
I don't believe you're leaving us. Kwame Wright.
Jamie Capu.
Kyle Harrison.
Christina Fahey.
Madison Elenola.
Haley Condon.
Trevor Moffis.
Bronte Sheehan.
Really? Marissa Brianne Francis Marie Elizabeth Hensley.
Yoara Hernandez.
Cameron Chapetta.
Mackenzie Casey.
Stephanie Young.
Kyle Justin Hipple.
Jacqueline Falconio.
Jessica Calisterio.
Lauren Gallardo.
Amanda Catherine Alvarado.
Rebecca Colazaro.
Kaylee Palucci.
Julie Ann Hanneman.
Andrew Haas.
Alejandro Daniel Tinajero.
Alyssa Rose Hall.
Nicolina Gina Mayo.
Diku Sherpa.
Naib Tapia.
Chloe Madison.
Yanira Osuna.
Colleen Ray Daly.
Danielle Ansaldo.
Stephen Glenn.
Lizette Ansaldo.
Ashley Bender.
John Byers.
Daniel Terrani.
Corey Barella.
Mac Hart.
Ashley Vignola.
Forrest Werner IV.
Malia Whitmore.
Martin Ricci.
Nicole Ray.
Justin Reeser.
Kayla Gordon.
Crystal Danae Becerra Alfaro.
Dustin Arbuckle.
Patricia Faye Go.
Nicholas Roberson.
Samantha Jane Chow.
Blake Malcolmus.
Christina Sweezy.
Philip Kinney.
Zachary Truskolowski.
Mitchell Griffith.
Shane DeVoe.
Elizabeth J. Alvarez.
Peter Hobson.
Scott Ryan Liebert.
Jason Manley.
Eric Wickman.
Megan Callahan.
Nicole Caravan.
Emma Anthony.
Natalie Wiley Contreras.
Lauren James.
Gina Marie Bishop.
Devin Connor.
Christina Yu.
Hannah Capuro.
Miles Kozera.
Gracie Locke.
Eric Groes.
Dylan Cole Hawkerson.
Melissa Witchman.
Joseph Anthony Odetto.
Hugo Hernandez.
Kentaro Sato.
Brian George.
Colin Craig Brown.
Evan Rabashotti.
Katrina Munoz.
Ariel Rivera.
Vince Doherty.
Stephanie Segovia.
Nathaniel M. Johnson.
Stephanie Yakyan.
Joel Gibson.
Clarissa Palomera.
Kathleen Ann Burns.
Natalie Lynn Miller.
Patrick Maloney.
Karen Ruth Price.
Courtney Marie Atchley.
Irene Ma.
Denise Vickerman.
Mark Meisner.
Jessica Leon.
Elizabeth Trout.
Mason Henry Guild.
Anne Latka.
Matthew L. Gillen.
Cynthia Granados.
Alex Linder.
Jennifer Dobos.
Ryan Schmidt.
Brandon Joyner.
Ritirong Srisawat.
Chad Stephen Singleton.
Alejandro Agas.
Jennifer Jean Gierman.
Anaid Carreño Arguelles.
Lauren Von Arx.
Beatriz Adriano Oviedo Guillermo.
Malina Akav.
Alma Sanchez Valle.
Stephanie Collins.
Andy Berman.
Leanne Blackwood.
Carol Wargo.
Catherine Wong.
Sarah Marie Lesmeister.
Alexandria Rosenberger.
Alexander Reinert.
Katie Hansen.
Richard Frankel.
Crystal Lazarski.
Kristen Lee Weisenborn.
Sarah Gaffney.
Caitlin O'Donnell.
Lisa Hure.
Riley Sullivan.
Tara Nicole Costin.
Wesley Joseph Young.
Sarah Kenny. Ali Atman.
Kelly Laughlin.
Ricky McCarthy.
Corey Bakovich.
Shawnee Usevis.
Kyle Colby.
Hannah Holtzman.
Taylor Elise Cully.
Leslie Michelle Slobis.
Kelsey Matthews.
Jared Holden.
Susanna Weller.
Stephen Martinez.
Brandon Carnes.
Jason Ribas.
Tanya Trimble.
Timothy Pardella. Amanda Christine Dodson.
Taylor C. Hawk.
Alyssa Brunton.
Sophia Gregaru.
Ana Garcia. Oops.
Samuel Kavika Sorrell.
Eddie Baker Jr.
Abigail Elizabeth Lenz.
Carlos Alvarado Partida.
Tess Ona Hack.
Vince Rolandi.
Justin Terrell.
Timothy Dylan Brown.
Brianna Kinahan.
Emma Fuller.
Taylor Nicole Estes.
Brooke Peterson.
Ashley Diana Leonard.
Courtney Rochelle Brewer.
William Scott Boring.
Juanita Tenorio.
Vinny Cellini.
Nadia Paniagua.
Franco Ragusa.
Laura Schurman Ibsen.
Alyssa Malinsky.
Lily Savage Clemens.
Haley Rombach.
Katrina Pimentel.
Taryn Marie Russlender.
Carrie James Escobedo.
Kavai Doherty. Kristen Solbeck.
You are welcome. Lolly Lindsay Dunham.
Chelsea Conley.
Whitney Jean Rogers.
Julia Craddy.
Samantha Hunter.
Sarah Baker.
Samantha Bryn Brazel.
Scott Bodewin.
Alexandra Sandoval.
Margaret Yamamoto.
Madalena Ariana Gomez.
Allison Gagno.
Sabrina Feos.
Jessica Conrad.
Cassandra Stewart.
Giovanna Ayala.
Erica Joyce Spencer.
Mary Kasich.
Kelly Irene Hodgins.
Haban Nur.
Allison Clark.
Alyssa Prail.
Jordan Stoner.
Hillary Hoffhines.
Stephanie Smith.
Amber Campos. Gabriel Contreras. And Anthony Perez.
An odd way I am too.
Okay, now you've got degrees. What do you think about that? Congratulations to all the graduates here today and to their families and friends and everyone who's here to wish them well. Will everyone please be seated? It is my very great pleasure to reintroduce our singer for today, Ms. Talia Tozzo, who is going to lead us as we sing the Sonoma State Hymn. You'll find the words to the hymn on the last page of your program. I'm sorry, first page. My bad. Thank you so much, Talia, for that wonderful performance. The Sonoma State University hymn has been a part of our ceremony since the 1960s, and we are very proud to be continuing that tradition today. Now, at this point in the ceremony, it's my job to remind you that both the School of Science and Technology and the School of Social Science are holding receptions after the commencement ceremony. The locations of the receptions are listed on the map in your program, and I'm not going to guess what page that's on. You get to find it yourself. And we really, really hope that you'll join us at those receptions. It's a chance for us to meet your families as faculty. We'd really like to thank them for sharing you with us for these years. And we can tell strange stories about what you're like in class. So please, come to the reception. We also have a very special part of our ceremony that's called the recessional. This is a tradition at this university that goes all the way back to the beginning, and it gives the faculty a chance to formally greet the students as they recess or go out of the commencement ceremony. So give us a minute. I know you're dying to get to your friends and family, but give us just a minute. Stay seated and then let the students, the new graduates, walk out through the central part of campus between the rows of faculty that will be waiting to greet them. Thank you very much. Ready? Please? Please? Okay. Will the banner carriers please take up their banners? All right, are we getting close? Will the platform party, the faculty, and the graduates please stand? Okay, I'm gonna